Welcome back to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving into something absolutely mind-blowing. We're looking at a massive feat of engineering, taking an aircraft from absolute total wreckage all the way back up to the runway. It's this incredible story of mechanics, patience, and absolute precision, and we're going to break down exactly how they pull this off. So let's jump right in.
Abandoned, rusted, shattered. Just picture this for a second. You've got this severely damaged vintage passenger airplane just sitting out in a remote field. The wings, visibly broken. The fuselage is bent totally out of shape, and decades of harsh weather have just completely stripped away all of its former glory. Engine parts are missing, scattered around, or just completely eaten up by corrosion. Honestly, it's a pretty somber sight, seeing this magnificent flying machine basically reduced to scrap metal.
So that brings us to Section 1, the forgotten wreck.
Now, to kick off this massive transition from pure decay to absolute precision, a team of professional aviation engineers rolls up to this quiet field with a literal arsenal of heavy machinery. We're talking cranes, heavy transport trucks, massive toolboxes, welding rigs, the whole shebang. Because this isn't just a cleanup crew, right? It's a rescue mission. The aircraft is carefully lifted out of the dirt and transported straight into this incredibly bright, hyper-modern restoration hangar.
Moving on to Section 2, high-tech diagnosis.
Before a single rivet is actually replaced, these experts need to know exactly what they're dealing with underneath all that surface rust. And they use some wildly advanced tools to do it. They bring out laser scanners to map the precise geometry of that bent fuselage. They even use ultrasonic testing devices that literally listen for microfractures deep inside the metal, stuff the human eye could never catch. All of this data gets fed directly into digital 3D modeling systems, which lets the team inspect every single damaged section at a microscopic level. Essentially, they're virtually rebuilding the entire plane before they even pick up a wrench.
Next up is Section 3, structural and system rebuild. Now, the sheer physical labor required to strip away all this decay is intense. The team has to go in and remove those massive broken wings, literally cut away completely ruined sections of the fuselage, and rip out all those corroded aluminum panels just to swap them for fresh metal. They are quite literally rebuilding the skeleton of the aircraft here. It takes incredibly precise welding and expert mechanics getting right down into the nitty-gritty to repair the complex landing gear and internal frame.
Once that skeleton is rock solid, it's time to move from the exterior shell to the internal nervous system. Because obviously, to make this machine function safely again, almost everything inside has to be completely brand new. Technicians snake miles, literally miles, of new wiring harnesses through the frame. They install completely fresh hydraulic systems and fuel lines. And inside the cabin, they're replacing the cockpit instruments, the navigation systems, and those absolutely crucial flight controls. It's basically a total organ transplant for the aircraft.
And then we get to the engines, which is perhaps the most complex part of the entire project. Skilled mechanics have to completely dismantle these massive powerhouses. Step 1, they meticulously replace the highly sensitive turbine blades and internal bearings. Step 2, out go the old compressors and combustion chambers, swapped for fresh, precisely manufactured parts. And finally, Step 3, these gleaming, completely rebuilt engines are hoisted up and carefully reinstalled right beneath those newly repaired wings. It is ultra-detailed aerospace engineering at its absolute finest.
Which takes us to Section 4, the finishing touches.
Now, all that heavy, grueling mechanical work finally leads to the aesthetic revival. All that rusted metal from the past, it gets painted over with a fresh, stunning, high-gloss airline livery. Technicians actually buffed the exterior until you could practically use it as a mirror. That faded, peeling paint from that forgotten field is entirely replaced by this brilliant, gleaming finish that clearly signals to the world, hey, this plane is ready to fly again. And if we step back inside for just a second, you really have to notice this beautiful marriage of eras happening right there in the cockpit. The engineers deliberately preserved the classic, vintage design of the aircraft's layout, keeping its historical soul intact, but they enhance it with state-of-the-art modern digital displays. Every single dial and bolt is tightened and calibrated with absolute, rigorous precision. It creates this perfect blend of classic style and cutting-edge modern safety.
Finally, Section 5, testing and liftoff.
Now, look, the restoration might look totally beautiful, but it means absolutely nothing if the plane isn't safe. This next checklist is completely non-negotiable. First, the plane has to undergo extreme hydraulic pressure tests, just to ensure there are zero leaks anywhere. That's followed by deep, thorough avionics checks. Then, the aircraft slowly rolls out for taxi tests to see how it handles its own weight on the tarmac, followed by some really aggressive brake tests. And finally, they do runway acceleration trials, pushing the plane to incredibly high speeds without actually leaving the ground. They have to prove that this beautiful visual restoration is, underneath it all, functionally flawless.
Inside the cockpit, you can imagine the tension is palpable. The dials spin, the pressure holds steady, hydraulics checked.
The screens illuminate brightly in the cabin. That brand new digital nervous system successfully wakes up and connects to the modern world. Avionics online.
The pilots firmly push the throttles forward, and those newly rebuilt turbines start to spool up. Thousands upon thousands of hours of meticulous, grueling restoration all culminate right here, in this exact second, as the engines roar to life.
The brakes are released. The restored airplane accelerates rapidly down the runway, gathering this incredible speed. The pilot pulls back on the yoke, the nose rotates smoothly upward, and the aircraft reclaims the bright blue sky. It is a complete, undeniable triumph.
So, what does this all mean? And why does this matter? Well, because this isn't just about fixing a broken machine. Honestly, it's a soaring testament to engineering excellence. It's the ultimate triumph of human dedication, patience, and sheer intelligence over the slow, inevitable creep of decay. They didn't just fix a plane, they brought a completely forgotten piece of history back to life.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly powerful question. If our engineering, our tools, and our absolute sheer determination can resurrect a completely shattered relic from the dirt, rebuild it piece by microscopic piece, and send it right back up into the clouds, what else are we capable of saving? Think about that for a bit. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey today. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.